Hi, everybody. So, as mentioned already, we'll stay in sports, different sport now, golf. I'm Christoph. I'm one of the founders and managing directors of Viewlicity, and as a first product, we have created PuttView, which is your augmented reality golf coach. Is this the new presentation? I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So maybe what will be my talk be about? It will be about the future of athlete performance development using augmented reality. I will draw on the PuttView example and the experiences we have made in golf, and then try to draw a couple of conclusions from that, also for other sports. I can't go for. Oh. Okay. So at the very beginning, I asked myself, what does sports practice look today? And basically, it's a huge bunch of data, it's a bunch of numbers, and this is actually what golf players face every day. This is drawn from a system that is very successful in golf, and it has a lot of merit, and a lot of understanding of the game of golf has come from this system. But the question is, does this really help the athlete improve? And using augmented reality, can't we do better than this? Let me talk a little bit about PuttView and why we think this is a great first application. Let's look at how Tiger Woods is putting.
It will break a little left at the start. Johnny, that's better than most. How about in? That is better than most. Better than most!
Although I've seen this video a couple of times, it still amazes me. And the key thing here is the ball actually doesn't travel on a straight line into the hole, but on a curved path due to the slopes and the undulations on the green. So this is really the challenge for the player to correctly estimate, evaluate how the ball would react to the green. In order to give superpowers, to stay with the theme of the conference, in order to give superpowers to the golf player, we have created PuttView. But first of all, why is it so important? Number one, on a regular golf round, almost every second shot is a putt. The saying is, you drive for show, but putt for dough. Second, there have been scientific studies that no player is really able to visualize, to see how the ball reacts. And number three, right now, think back of the numbers example, there's no easy way to really practice putting, no intuitive way to get this across to the player. So that's why we created PuttView, and it's all around the idea of providing visual cues to the player to help him understand what is actually going on and what he needs to do to play the perfect putt. There are two solutions right now. You can both see them at the playground area, so please feel invited to go there. Our indoor solution uses a projector, so it's spatial augmented reality, to project all this information directly on the green. And we're also working on an outdoor solution, which will be showcased later this year. So the indoor solution, how does it work? Basically, we take a 3D scan of the green. Then we have a point cloud of that green, which we input into our software. We have a 3D, we have algorithms that, with which we can calculate based on that point cloud how the ball would react, how the player has to hit the perfect putt. We use a projector to put this directly on the green, and then coach and player can collaborate, interact with each other using a tablet application. It's more or less the remote control of the system. But enough of the words, let's see the system in action real quick. So what you can see in the picture is it also helps you with timing, with rhythm, with pace control, which is one thing we found is even more important than the correct starting line. Also, speaking of interaction, the coach can draw anything he likes directly on the green, and putting visuals he feels the player needs right there where he needs it. A little bit of track record. There are 3 systems as of now running in Germany, and we recently launched in the UK. So there are 2 systems running right now. One thing I wanted to point out is the Harold Swash Academy. That's Phil Canyon, and he coaches 3 of the current top 10 players in the world in putting, and they recently started to use our system, which is very amazing for us, of course. So outdoor solution will come up soon. We will first showcase that to a selected group of professional players at the Porsche European Open in Germany later this year. So it's really great to come up. So what are the benefits we see here? Of course, it's about visual cues, it's about visual guidance to help the player develop all these skills. It's also a completely new interaction concept between player and coach. Previously, the coach has talked a lot, has pointed a lot with his fingers, and now he can just show to the player directly on the green. And this is a little bit maybe the future. This will develop into a personal coach that will drive your continuous immersive improvement. And what that is about, I will talk in the second part of my talk a little bit. So a little bit of background. How does athlete performance development work? First of all, there's understanding. The athlete needs a basic amount of knowledge of what he actually needs to do. Then, and that's what the introductory picture with the many, many numbers was, there's data acquisition, and we're very strong in that already. Then there's some analysis part, making sense of that data. Then there's usually the coach involved, explaining the concept to the player. How can he actually improve that? And of course, there's practice, repetitions, stuff like that, and then we go back to the beginning, measure again what the improvement was. So to make this more transparent and also to showcase where we use technology already right now, let me show you a couple of examples for each of these areas. I will have a little indicator for the technology impact to highlight where augmented reality can, at the end of the day, then help us. First of all, understanding. It's still, if you get lucky, you find a good video tutorial, but also there are a lot of books. Someone actually was a previous NASA engineer. He actually wrote a 400-page book about putting. So if you need something to fall asleep real quick, I recommend get one. Then the measuring part, I showed the numbers in the beginning, but there are a lot of motion and body tracking, various sensors, also the talk right before that highlighted the sensors. And again, we get a bunch of data, which is very, very good. Then we make sense of that data. Speaking in golf terms, there are a lot of statistics going on, also on cloud platforms, doing artificial intelligence on that. So already very helpful. There's a German guy who worked for the US soccer team. I don't know if he's very well known here. Anyways, the concept on how to improve is still a very, very human thing. So it relies heavily on how well does the coach perform and how well do the coach and the player work together. And then practice. Providing feedback, and we know how important feedback during practice is. In golf, again, it's pretty funny what kind of things people come up with. Sticks you put on the ground, and basically anything you can imagine. It's horrible sometimes. But anyways, feedback is great. So you see the technology impact is mainly on the analysis and measuring part, much less on the actual improvement part. This is actually the point I want to make, and I'm a controls engineer, so for me everything is a closed loop. And using augmented reality and integrating all that data, I think we can close that loop for the player. Let me again, give a couple of examples how we can do that. For understanding, of course, if you think about PuttView, it's about visual cues, help him understanding the physics, what is going on behind. But you can also experience success a lot of times. You can repeat the perfect motion. You can repeat and repeat and repeat, which is a lot more efficient than just using actual practice. Then on the concept part, you can visualize movement patterns. You can visualize some guidance for drills that are helpful. This is drawn from an example in football. So where the quarterback, who has to remember a lot of moves, actually gets that displayed. And then for the feedback part, and this is, I think, really the important thing where augmented reality can come in with all the visual guidance. Two things I want to highlight. One is the quiet eye effect. I don't know if you've heard about that. If you look at basketball, basketball and the free throw, good free throw players have a very, very strong focus on where they need to place the ball. This is called the quiet eye effect. You can find that in a lot of sports, also in golf. And using that and using augmented reality and gaze control to help to develop practice regimen for the player to develop this quiet eye effect is really something that's extremely helpful. The other thing is experiential learning. The thing we can analyze the player, we can get a lot of data on him, but we need, in order to help him improve, we need to show him what kind of exercises, what kind of things he needs to do. And research has shown that it is better for the player to try out different movement patterns for himself than actually just repeating the perfect thing. And with the sticks you saw right there, this is actually not how the human learns. Just repetitions is just not so good. And if we integrate this closed loop here and use augmented reality to create new practice scenarios over and over again, we can really tap the potential on that. So how will it look like tomorrow? When I looked across the internet to look for some examples, I didn't really find that much, just highlighting a couple of examples. The top left is called Balar, or Balar, I don't really know how to pronounce it. There was a design study for basketball showing different kind of strategic moves. Again, the football example. There's also a headset for skiing, which kind of shows you where you need to go. And sorry, but I had to include PuttView again. Kind of coming to the end and summarizing a little bit, I tried to come up with an innovation S-curve in sports practice. If you look 20 years, 30 years back, or even further, at the very beginning, there was the coach's eyes. So he tried to see what is going on. He tried to tell the player, well, you should do this and that, and then improve. Then there was video analysis, which I think in any type of sport is now very widely used and very successful. We see a lot of sensors, motion and body tracking coming up. Quantified self, of course, tracking the own performance over time. And the next steps, I think, is, and which will, I think, take a similar status as video analysis right now in the future is augmented reality, and what we call at PuttView immersive improvement. This is the closed loop I was talking about. So really making sure that we integrate all these technology solutions into a smart system that provides the player a way to do experiential learning in a very, very effective way. So this is, I think, where we can head, where augmented reality is one part. But of course, we can draw from a lot of other, integrate other sensors. The user interface will be very important, of course. Computer vision to actually understand what is going on around the headset, not just displaying something that laid in the past, but doing something also in real time. And of course, artificial intelligence to create online, depending on the individual requirements of the player, create online practice experiences that help self-improvement. All right. Thank you for the talk. I don't know, do we have a minute for Q&A?
We have 20 seconds.
20 seconds, okay.
Quick. One question.
Or if not, we get an early lunch break.
Early lunch break, or time to take photos. I noticed a lot of the photos.
Okay,
Thank you, Christoph.
thank you very much.